Hello everybody and welcome back for game number 2 of the best of 3 matchup series between EGIdrA spawning as the green Zerg and the top right position against the red Terran FXOFilthy. Hey, I got the red color right at least, right? Hey, yeah. Alright, so this is going to be a match played on Typhon Peaks, one of the new maps in the Blizzard ladder rotation. You can actually see it's got a pretty decent sized main base area. Look at that drop point right there, man. Plenty of hidden space for roach drops, baneling, zergling, anything of that sort. Got a pretty narrow little area down here leading to your ramp. Down here you do have your expansion, which actually has 4 different entrances. You got the one blocked off by rocks here, one wide one here, one with a ramp that leads down to another base, set of rocks there, leading up to the central portion of the map. And then one ramp, or one little choke guarded by a female Carrack. Pretty cool stuff indeed. And I do like how EGIdrA is already sending his Overlord over to what he will soon find is the correct spawning position for his opponent. Now, let's see here. We see EGIdrA is currently sitting at 13 supply. Nothing just yet over on his part of the map. Not surprising at all on that. Filthy, on the other hand, has dropped his supply depot and barracks down at the base of his ramp. Now, this is the same strategy as we saw in game number 1, which took place on Mutalisk. Now, spoiler alert. Okay, pause it. Go watch game number 1. All right, you've been warned. You know, EGIdrA is up 1 game right now after Filthy failed to execute a very strong heavy mech build. You know, EGIdrA just overwhelmed his opponent. Filthy went for heavy Hellions and Thors. I think he had a couple Marauders in there as well, with some early Reaper harassment, but ultimately just was not able to withstand the firepower of, well, his own Thors. We saw EGIdrA with several neural parasites used against the Thors, taking out a lot of the units, absorbing a lot of the damage from the Thors that were not mind-controlled, and allowing EGIdRA's roaches to just get in there and annihilate whatever was left of the Terran Armada. So now we are in game number 2 here, watching to see if there's going to be any change in the strategy, which so far we're seeing EGIdRA is going to employ the exact same build order that he used in game number 1. Going for that hatchery at 15, then decided to drop the pool, and then the gas. This does lead to a little bit delayed zergling speed, but at this point I don't think it's really going to matter. Now, what I'm curious about is what Filthy is going to be doing here. He does have his tech lab with a couple Reapers once again, and there's also an SCV, which you can see he has scouted out. The Templar has scouted that expansion, so he could be going to do a bit of harassment here. That would not surprise me in the least. Like I said, with this early expansion like that, it's kind of asking for it. But what I'm curious about is to see, yep, sure enough, there's that bunker going down right there with the second SCV. Now, the drones are going to come over here. Of course, they're going to see that. They're exactly where they should be in order to stop this from taking place. You see, actually, the SCVs are running away here. All right, now we also have the Reaper coming in. This will change things just a little bit, but then again, so will the Zerglings. This is going to force the Reaper to delay just defending from the drones and actually have to deal with the Zerglings. Going to buy, actually, Terran a little bit of time here. But with these additional Zerglings coming down, the SCV is going to die. And now what's left? You have a Reaper and no SCVs. Now, Filthy could cancel this bunker, but if you look, he's actually leaving it up for a minute or 2 here. Now, that's an interesting choice because by leaving it up, you're kind of telling the Zerg player, at least for a few moments, hey, you know what? I might actually still come over here. So I'm going to try to force you to build a couple extra Zerglings, put a little bit more money into defensive units. You see there's 4 Zerglings right there. As we see a couple Reapers are actually very close to the ramp. Might be able to do some harassment here, but this is so very close to the creep, and especially with the Queen here, you see she's just reaching her arms, I guess those are, and just smacking down that Reaper. One of them has gone down. Look at that, even hitting up the cliff. Whoa, man, Super Queen there. Gotten 1 kill. Doesn't afraid of anything. Looks like that Reaper may actually die here. Oh, so very close. Oh, man. Made it out very last second. 1 hit point out of 50. Now, my thought earlier was I was thinking Filthy could go for that mech build again, and looking at it, he does have 2 factories right now. He's running on, okay, there's that second geyser. This map in particular, I'm not sure if he wants to go with the same exact unit composition, because you see, the choke point, or the walkways are, it's basically just one giant choke point here. Look at that, man. Some of the portions of the map here are actually more narrow than the choke leading into your base here. So he's probably going to want to be able to get a little bit more in the way of siege tanks, maybe a little bit more unit variety than we saw in game number 1, which was just Hellion Thors. The last thing you want to have is Zerg to catch you out of position, say, oh, I don't know, right here, or, you know, running around right here. when you've got like 3 Thors, and then another 3 Thors, and then another 3 Thors behind it, you know, funneling in to what could be a giant roach concave with, once again, infestors. So that is something that we're going to probably expect to see Filthy adjust just a little bit. You see, he's even gone with the same unit composition here, with the bunker getting that early marauder in case of any roaches or anything of that sort. Now, we see he's pretty much just building up at this point. Now, notice that he hasn't, neither player has really taken their third base just yet. That's because, at least for right here, it's kind of a risky move. You see these players are both spawning on the top, so taking either of these expansions is going to lead to a pretty risky maneuver, because trying to hold that when you're basically expanding closer towards your opponent, you've got these expansions down here. You know, that's more likely where we're going to expect to see the players expand. They're the Zerglings. You see the speed upgrade isn't quite complete yet, so they're going to be running for their lives here from the Hellions, who do not have the blue flame upgrade just yet. That's about 80% complete, and we see there's actually a nice little string of red coming down against EGIdrA. Now, will he be able to hold this off here? Looking at the unit composition, do know there is a Spire on the way. There's a pretty decent amount of forces here. Only got 4 Zerglings, but you got 2 Queens, you got a couple Spine Crawlers here. If the Zerg player can hold off long enough, allow these Spine Crawlers to finish, then he might actually be okay. We see 1 Spine Crawler is actually coming in here. So very close. And oh my god, the Baneling's actually going to try to run in here and do a ton of damage. Look at that. Spine Crawler is complete. Took out all of the heavy-hitting units. All that's left now are Hellions. You certainly don't want to try to be engaging Hellions against Queens with Spine Crawlers in the way. I do like the position of the Zerglings there. He did lose a lot of them, actually lost most of them, but he prevented the Hellions from getting up into the main base, where you see there is little to no defense. You certainly do not want the Hellions up there. You see, all they'd be able to do is come up here and just take out tons of drones and discover the Spire. Now, I don't think actually Terran has seen that yet. No, he has not. So he's probably expecting, all right, we're going to have a Spire soon at this point. But, you know, I don't exactly know when, don't know where, or anything like that. Got the Mutas actually on command to go maybe into the Terran base? No, looks like he's going to catch it there. Maybe, okay, there we go. Yeah, we caught it. And he also has a bunch of Zerglings coming over here. So we look, there's 1 Thor complete. Looking at the unit composition now, you can see bunch of SCVs, 1 Thor, 1 Hellion, 1 Marauder. That's going to be it. Let's see, will he actually spot those? Yep, sure enough, there we go. And it looks like EGIdrA is going to be going directly for the Thor. No SCVs were actually able to come over here and surround it for the repair. Oh man, that first Thor, it will go down. Yes, it does. Oh wow. Well, I have to say that was a very interesting attack. Certainly a very strong maneuver by EGIdrA. Knocking out that Thor, that first Thor, has got to be demoralizing for Filthy here, as it's, I mean, obviously the strategic opportunities for it, you know, presented itself, be able to get a good surround on a Thor, take it out, always a great thing. Didn't lose a lot in the way of units there. But more importantly, it was kind of like EGIdRA's way of saying, look, I've beaten your mech build once before. I can certainly come in here and do it again. This is just my small way of saying that. Filthy going to be coming in here for a possible counterattack. Now the blue flame upgrade is complete, but the Zerglings are in position, as well as the Mutas, who are now just kind of hanging out there. You see actually Terran trying to get as many kills as possible. Got 2 on that Hellion, 8 on the other. We can actually look at the units lost right now and see it's almost dead even within 25 resources of one another. But look at the supply count there. Terran's only lost 26, but still, man, Zerg made those 27 count. Might have a little bit more in the way of meter harassment here, but you see actually the Hellions once again going to be heading, kind of bouncing back and forth between the towers here, as they're the Mutas. Now, the Mutas are actually probably thinking, I got to make sure I can keep the Terran player from discovering this expansion, but it's going to be too late. Sure enough, we got the Hellions coming over here, scouting out that one expansion, continuing to scout, seeing if there's another one down below. You see actually this one's kind of taking the lead here, hoping to avoid the wrath of the Mutas. The weak Muta, or the weak Hellion, was sacrificed, hoping that EGIdRA would only kill that one, but no, sure enough, he will be going for the second one there, as you see a bunch of drones are actually transferring down. Now, looking at this point here, we do see that the Hellion harassment that he's attempted so far is nice, and ooh, EGIdRA coming in here with the Overseer, actually going to be checking out the Terran player, seeing what's going on up here in the main base. I don't think he's actually been up here lately. No, he has not, so that's going to be the first scouting for that area. Now, anyways, you see he's still not getting any siege tanks. Look, Zerg player is just now getting an infestation pit. So with the roaches, he's getting the speed upgrade, he's getting the armor. We're looking at pretty much a similar repeat from game number 1. except a little bit slower. You see, Terran doesn't have that third base. Like I said earlier, expanding down here would be kind of a risky move, especially with the mutas flying around. And expanding over here without having the rocks destroyed here and here would again be somewhat difficult to hold because the mutas have superior mobility. This map is great for muta harassment. I have to say, having done it myself a couple times, you've got all the different terrain levels. You've got a couple different positions back here that are actually not any sort of terrain whatsoever. But, like I said, plenty of choke points, plenty of different terrain levels, and you can just kind of evade your opponent and fly all around. And with the rocks there, they can't do a whole lot about it. Now we see EGIdrA decided to go ahead and engage here. He's even got the mutas nice and spread out, going to try to take out these Thors. Meanwhile, the roaches are just doing a number on them, man. Look at that. There's just a good number of them there, and the Thors are so focused on taking out the mutas, they're completely ignoring the roaches. The Hellions are doing what they can with the splash damage, but it's not going to be enough. EGIdrA now securing the middle of the map there, and we've seen the Terran player actually forced to retreat. He's got one Thor hanging out here, poor Marauder going down just as soon as it reached the middle of the map. And EGIdrA trying to pick out that Thor. Will he get it? Yes, indeed, he does. The second one, and a third one coming down here as well. Oh man, but EGIdrA is reinforcing here and going to continue to push forward towards the Terran base, who you see is trying to take this third base despite the fact that he knows he is under attack and will likely lose it here. Sure enough, there's the GG from Filthy. So EGIdrA is going to proceed on to the next round, having 2-0'd against his Terran opponent. Alright guys, that's going to conclude it for this match. I do hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more coverage of the FX Invitational, and I'm out.